we have probably a difference of opinion about whether money in politics should be regulated. You probably would say it should be mostly unregulated, right?
Yeah, I think the First Amendment's fairly clear.
And but there are, I think, clear examples where money in politics can have a bad effect on American democracy. For example, the Republicans.
Voting can have a bad effect if people vote for the wrong people.
No, that's true.
And
that's
contributing
true.
has a bad effect if they contribute to the wrong people. However,
No,
we're going to let the
true.
American people decide that. Look, if everybody can contribute and everybody gets to vote, slug it out.
That's true. But, for example, the Republicans are investigating Obama right now because he made secret deals with the pharmaceutical industry to oppose drug reimportation. I mean, obviously, Obama was scared of the money, or maybe he gave in to the money that the pharmaceutical industry had. So the money sort of created a policy. I mean, isn't that bad for democracy?
Well, that wasn't a campaign contribution to elect Obama. That was money. It was either, you look at it one of two ways. It's either abroad, we will give you this money to spend politically through Axelrod and his friends if you do X, or it was extortion. We're going to chop your fingers off unless you give me $50 million.
Right.
Either or both of those is illegal and has nothing to do with campaign law.
But
That's either extortion or bribery or both.
I think that's the problem, is that campaign contributions become a form of bribery, but it's some form of legalized bribery that's never really prosecuted. I mean, isn't that a big problem in Washington?
Well, I think the challenge is when government gets so big, it does so much, it can threaten everybody. The government can't demand contributions from most people.
Right.
They can demand them from certain highly visible, non-mobile factors of production. We know where you live. We can get your business.
Right.
And I think we need to police against those sorts of abuses, but I would argue the best way to police against those abuses or have a government that only does the things that are from time to time mentioned in the Constitution.
Now, you said that maybe the drug industry's deal with Obama may have been extortion or bribery. Maybe not legally, but it was in a sense.
I think probably legally. The administration says we're going to we're going to smash you in and destroy your business unless you give us money. That's extortion. Now, since the it's extortion.
Yeah. Now, your organization.
If somebody comes and says we're about to get you unless you pay us off, that's not bribery. That's extortion. I should be clear. They were extorted.
Oh, there are many conservatives who support drug reimportation. I notice Americans for Tax Reform doesn't. Is this like an ideologically based sort of
the argument,
disagreement?
Yeah, there are two arguments. One is that when you have price controls on drugs, pharmaceuticals in Canada, for instance, and not across the board in the United States. Some government controls, but generally free prices. Were you to say Canada, a company in Canada can buy, where the government forces them to sell their aspirins for 2 cents, and then you bring to the United States where the market's 4 cents, are you importing price controls or creating a black market there by allowing reimportation? Then there's the other. That's one sort of. That's a strategic question, and that's where sometimes most free market guys are against quote unquote reimportation. Some purists go, never allow any regulation at the border or tariff at the border, regulate at the border. Therefore, now there's so much messing around with imports and exports at borders. This is not exactly the most important one to liberate. But I understand that argument. If you want to take the purist argument,
sure.
Borders shouldn't matter in trade, end of conversation. It's not an impossible position. I think strategically that it's important. I'm sorry, 1 second. Go over here. Oh, darn. I'm heading right out the door here. Ask if I can call him back in 15, if that works. Okay. Okay, perfect. Yep, thanks. Sorry, I got it.
One last question, and it goes back to the money and politics issues. I mean, I think that one reason that the pharmaceutical industry gets away with Obama is because it donates to everyone. And I know that they don't donate to CADA, which is for reimportation, but they did give $160,000 to Americans for Tax Reform. I mean, don't you think that money does have an extorting effect on the organization?
Extorting? No, because it's just no. I mean, the good news on Americans for Tax Reform is we're just always in the same place.
Why
Don't
would
raise
the drug
taxes.
lobby give that money to you?
Well, we're in the same place. We're always against raising taxes. Anybody who supports ATR, you know exactly what our position is.
Cato's against raising taxes, but they don't get any money. It seems like the only difference is this free market idea of importing drugs that you oppose.
That's nonsense. You read the newspapers, Americans for Tax Reform is the group that works with other people to stop tax increases. Cato writes nice articles about why you should support ATR's pledge. So the key question is on an administration that threatens everybody's livelihoods is going to be able to extort money. So one of the ways to get money out of politics is to have less politics, less government. It's the old argument done by our friends at I forget, 1950s guys who said the best way to get communists out of government jobs is to have fewer government jobs. Rather than have a big police state to hunt down the communists who want the government jobs, just have fewer government jobs. If you want people if you want less money involved in politics, get the government out of people's lives. Take it easy.
One quick thing.
Hey, we're 15 minutes over already. Thanks.
Fannie Mae, you used to be a lobbyist for Fannie Mae. Now you criticize them. Is that because they stopped giving you money?
Not true on either side.
You used to be a lobbyist for them. It's registered for the Senate.
Actually, no.
Your name is there. Is that incorrect?
They tried to make it completely.
It is correct. Okay.